We welcome you back to the Bonner Fitness and Learning Center for our final game of the day. This one between BBM Tax Service and Prudential, alongside Andrew Garrison. I'm Zion Brown, and Andrew, we've got two teams. One team is 2-0, one team is 0-2, but we expect this one to be almost just as thrilling as the game we just saw.
Yeah, it's certainly a fun one just before. I'm sure many of you watching now were watching that one. Of course, an incredible comeback from Hoop Us as they win 93-92. But BBM Tax Service, they've lost both their games by a combined 13 points. They very well could be 2-0 alongside Prudential. Now, the thing to watch for Prudential, they've won 9 games in a row, 8 of which have been considered close, right? Within 3 possessions, about 2 possessions or 1 possession each. They could win their 10th. That counts the 2024 regular season, the 2024 playoffs, and, of course, 2025. Prudential with an opportunity to win their 10th game in a row coming off their championship victory. It's going to be a fun one here in the nightcap between BBM Tax Service and Prudential.
This BBM Tax Service team is 0-2, but it's been close losses. A 10-point loss versus NBA Math Hoops a couple weeks ago, and a 3-point loss versus the Indianapolis Recorder to start off the season. But they get the tip-off, and right away a shot is up and no good, but the putback doesn't fall either, and the third attempt for Pat Bacon drops. Aaron Harris. That is with the finish. As here comes Prudential down the other end. Driving and almost getting an and one, an impressive and one that time. But it will be free throws upcoming for Tyree Johnson.
Now, last time we saw Prudential, they were, of course, in a thrilling matchup with a game winner from Zach Owens. Now, we don't see Zach Owens in the building here tonight. Prudential has 7 members of their team, and it appears BBM Tax Service only has the 5. So this will certainly be a game that will test the endurance of each team.
Could be a war of attrition, and whenever I see a team only have 5, I wonder if at some point during the game they'll go zone, try to preserve some of that energy defensively. It's Tony Perkins with the basketball for BBM Tax Service over to Jaden Ford. As they swing around here, here's Harris, who scored the first 2 points. Down low, nice feed and nice cut as Brandon Muncie hits the shot. Prudential with it. Larry Plummer takes the sidestep jack, and he hits.
Plummer shooting 41% from 3 across the season thus far. 17 points a game. He's done a great job for Prudential.
Aaron Harris over to Muncie. Muncie with the runner. Too strong. Hayes tried to put it back up and in, but it's taken away by Prudential. Here comes Plummer. Through the lane, had it stripped by Muncie. Now Harris quickly into the front court. He'll try from deep. Not there on that attempt, and Prudential gets it with Johnson. Johnson spins, steps back. Can't get the shot to fall off glass. Both teams pushing the pace here early. Open for the shot is Ford. Put too much on it and boarded up by Jamel Boyd. Early 1-point lead for this Prudential squad as they have the basketball with Plummer. Plummer getting around the screen. Now he'll take the mid-range J and hits from 13 feet.
Well, somebody's got to lead the charge with Zach Owens not in attendance, and it very well could be Larry Plummer, a premier scorer for this squad.
Tony Perkins responds with a 3 ball. Plummer going right back down the court. Another deflection and a strip for Brandon Muncie, but then he has it taken away, and Boyd gets the easy deuce.
Good looks offensively from Prudential, despite not having their top scorer in 2024 City League MVP.
Deep 2 for Tony Perkins doesn't fall. Ball is loose. Prudential has it on the ground. It's a nice play by Johnson. It ends up being a timeout called. As Prudential was able to secure possession and call the early timeout. Andrew, what have you seen so far in this game on both sides?
Well, certainly a feeling out process early in the first half. 3.5 minutes gone here in that first half. as we see the dead ball. Now, I'm waiting to see more from Tony Perkins. 15.5 points per game. He leads the league in blocks with 2 a game. 4.5 rebounds as well, shooting 41% from the field. Tony Perkins had a simply unbelievable windmill slam dunk against Indianapolis Recorder in a game that went down to the wire and, of course, ended in a loss for BBM Tax Service. Now, BBM Tax Service, again, still hunting for their first victory. It's going to come through Tony Perkins first and foremost and his athletic prowess, especially because Tony Perkins, a Big Ten player, at Iowa against his Prudential squad that doesn't quite have that level of stardom on it. It should be an opportunity for Perkins to take over as the game progresses if he can quite get in his groove and get into his rhythm.
Perkins, as you mentioned, played at Iowa and Missouri. Prudential with the basketball. Wade Peters gives it over to Jamel Boyd for the 3. Off the mark. And now here comes Perkins and this BBM team. Perkins going straight to the hoop and hitting.
Coast to coast, so dangerous as Tony Perkins. Almost put away Indianapolis Recorder by himself.
Ties the game up at 9. Open for the 3 is Peters. Left it short. Rebound knocked out of bounds. It'll head back over to BBM Tax Service.
So a tie ball game early as both teams look to create some separation and really assert their dominance in this game. Certainly another one that could go down to the wire, as you mentioned pregame.
Here's Aaron Harris patrolling the offense. Harris will take a 3 from a few feet beyond the arc. Doesn't fall, but the putback is good for Brandon Muncie. Just like that, BBM takes the lead. Here's Boyd, straightaway 3. He knew it missed right away, and Perkins came away with it. Now a fast break opportunity. Perkins trying to go coast to coast again. He does.
Perkins just so swift down the floor and has an incredible ability to finish at the rim through contact. He does so twice in a row.
Boyd going up and under, but it's put back up and in by Ali Akarishi. We've got a high-paced game here as a reverse layup falls for Aaron Harris. And then leaking out on the other end is Boyd for 2. Andrew, you have to wonder, though, how this fast pace could affect this BBM Tax Service team that only has 5.
Absolutely, and even Tony Perkins individually, no chance to be able to put this up or keep this up throughout the entire game.
Nice hop step from Harris into the fadeaway jumper. That was pretty.
And they're going to need guys like Harris and Perkins down the stretch hitting those clutch shots, especially if this game goes down to the wire.
Plummer looks to respond. No good that time. Turns into a mid-range jumper for Peters. He can't hit, but then Plummer sticks the putback. Here's Perkins at the helm for BBM. He takes a long 3 and hits.
Tony Perkins, so dangerous on all 3 levels of offense, between the blocks in the mid-range and, of course, around the three-point line, as we just saw.
Larry Plummer drives inside, puts up the alley-oop attempt, but Boyd was well covered as the ball rolls out of bounds.
Yeah, that right there, a regrettable pass from Plummer. Of course, again, Zach Owens, 2024 City League MVP, not here tonight for Prudential. And a 5-point lead for BBM Tax Service will look to be expanded upon by Tony Perkins.
Perkins drives left, reverse layup, just rolls off the front of the rim, but it'll head to the line.
All gas, no breaks for Tony Perkins and this BBM Tax Service squad, despite only having 5 in attendance here tonight. Perkins doing a great job racing up and down the floor, finishing at the rim, drawing contact, and even pulling up from 3, knocking down the open shot a couple possessions ago. Airballs that free throw, however.
Tony Perkins, I think, realizes that for this BBM Tax Service team to maybe pull off what would, I guess, maybe be considered an upset, that a lot of it is going to have to be through his scoring. He and Harris have really led the way so far as that ball just rolls off the rim. And back to Prudential. So here's Larry Plummer with the ball again. Plummer Left-handed floater doesn't drop. And it's corralled by Tony Perkins. Perkins going straight at the hoop, doesn't fall, but Aaron Hurst puts it back through.
It was 4-on-4 on that end with Larry Plummer on the floor, tangled up on the other ends, and BBM Tax Service takes advantage.
The open three falls for Jason Peace. Harris looking for more points, and he gets them. It's been all Harris and Perkins so far for BBM Tax Service, and they lead it by 6. It's down low. Here's Peace. Peace able to finish around the defending Cortland Hayes. Perkins directs the offense, finds Jaden Ford up top. His shot is too strong, and here comes Tyree Johnson. Johnson feeds Boyd in the mid-post. Boyd back out over to Willie Morris, who sinks the three.
And stringing together a couple triples is Prudential, and they cut the deficit back to 1. And that's what's so fun about the City League is these games, the game flow is so continuous with few timeouts and of course the running clock throughout the first and second half. And these games are really 40, 45 minutes, 50 minutes. They go by in a flash, and a scoring run here, a scoring run there is enough to put a team over the top of the other. But Prudential not allowing BBM Tax Service to take control of the first half early on. They cut back into the deficit. They cut it to 1, and BBM Tax Service still has a long way to go to stay ahead in this one.
And I think one thing for this BBM Tax Service team, it's going to have to be a joint effort when it comes to offensive production. So we've seen Tony Perkins and we've seen Aaron Harris both be really effective. They still might need a third guy to really join them heavily in that scoring column to help get them there. Obviously, a lot of ball game left here. But just thinking long-term about this team that doesn't have any players available off the bench.
Absolutely. I wonder if Cortland Hayes can be a front court presence for BBM Tax Service. He averages 4.5 a game. He's made 3 of his 4 field goal attempts. Hasn't played much, but of course, he's going to be required to in this one.
So out of the timeout, BBM has the ball. And driving all the way and finishing is Aaron Harris.
Impressive find from Harris. He's so difficult to stop once he starts flowing downhill.
Willie Morris, awkward shot. Offensive board by Jason Peace. Now Boyd has it in the corner. Jamel Boyd. I guess he had his dribble back as he gives it up to Peace. Peace gets rejected by Tony Perkins. And here comes BBM Tax Service. It's a 3-on-1. Perkins with the rack attack.
And you can see right there exactly what Tony Perkins provides for this BBM Tax Service squad. A thunderous slam generated by a block, a stat category that he leads the league in. That's the exact example of what Tony Perkins is for the City League.
It's a 3 knocked down by Willie Morris. I don't think anybody in this gym was expecting Tony Perkins to take off there as he gets back to the rim for another 2.
Tony Perkins taking over now inside Bonner Fitness and Learning Center.
Down the other end, here's Plummer. Peace on the left side, down low to Boyd as he got hacked, and they'll give him free throws too. Or no, they won't. They will say it's a side out. And it'll be inbound on the side. A nice aggressiveness that time from Jamel Boyd. This is Tyree Johnson initiating. Perkins able to deflect the ball out of bounds. They're looking for Jason Peace.
So Prudential will have another opportunity here. Down 4 after a quick Tony Perkins run.
Peace going towards the rim, and he got fouled on the way up. As BBM a bit overzealous defensively. Perkins kind of went for the steal in the inbounds, and then they couldn't contain Peace at the rim.
Peace at the line for Prudential.
And this slam dunk from Tony Perkins just absolutely unbelievable. Reminiscent of the one against Indianapolis Recorder in their first game of the season. But Tony Perkins, again, just contributing to the highlight reel that will inevitably be a joy to watch at the end of this season in early August. 8 minutes left to go in the first half. Jason Peace misses both.
And here comes Perkins now down the other end. Picked up his dribble. And here's Hayes with the ball. Hayes going up for the runner. Rattles through. Nice take by Cortland Hayes to extend that lead back up to 6. Here's Willie Morris to Jason Peace. Peace fades, bit off balance. Ball being batted around, and Peace comes back away with it. Peace back out to the corner. Johnson can't hit the 3. Ball still loose, and again it finds Jason Peace. Tyree Johnson again, over to Willie Morris. Morris driving. Morris finds an open Peace, and he hits it.
And the hustle from Peace is rewarded by, of course, that open look from 3. He put his heart and soul into that possession.
Harris lost the ball. Here comes Johnson. He gets rejected. Nice defensive play by Jaden Ford. Ford now up ahead to Tony Perkins. Perkins driving left. And a foul is called on Jason Peace.
Tony Perkins, just unbelievable speed, flying up and down the floor, taking it coast to coast, possession after possession, and Prudential just hasn't had an answer for it. Of course, fouling Perkins on that last possession, but that's about all they've been able to do, and Perkins has finished every single take at the rim. He'll miss this free throw, but it'll be interesting to see how long Perkins and the rest of this BBM Tax Service team can keep up this pace. It's almost like the strategy is to jump out to a sizable lead early on by really racing out to start the game, and then, of course, being able to close it out little by little towards the end. But Prudential's been sticking with them.
Willie Morris penetrates with a high arcing shot. Gets it to drop. Prudential still within 2.
Great hustle by Willie Morris there. He's been a great role player for this team, shooting 83% from the field through 2 games.
Perkins thought about the volleyball line 3, gives it off to his running mate, Aaron Harris. 4 on the shot clock for Harris. Swings it into the corner. Hayes got it.
And a long wingspan and a long range shooting the basketball for Cortland Hayes.
Plummer inside. Great touch pass into Jason Peace by Wade Peters.
Prudential not letting BBM Tax Service take a lead of more than a possession in this first half.
5 to go now in the first half. It's a 36-33 lead for BBM Tax Service. Make it 39-33 as Tony Perkins hits the deep tray.
There's some more fireworks in game 3 of the night.
Jason Peters, awkward attempt at the rim, and it's taken away by Jaden Ford. Harris over to Brandon Muncie, and that is just going to stay with BBM Tax Service as it got tipped at least once. As Prudential tried to argue that it went off of the fingertips of Muncie before going out of bounds, but it will stay with BBM.
Well, there's the big 3 from Tony Perkins, and then an awkward mishandled possession from Prudential.
Aaron Harris off the top of the backboard, no good, and here comes Larry Plummer. Plummer able to sneak the layup by the outstretched arms of Ford for the deuce.
Well, I was about to say BBM Tax Service would have an opportunity to take a 3-possession lead off that Aaron Harris corner 3, but a little 5-point swing there for Prudential to keep themselves in it.
Tony Perkins steps back. He wants another 3. He's got another 3.
And Perkins just sheds Willie Morris on that possession.
And then he picks his pocket. 3 on 2. Here comes Perkins again, fumbling the ball around and can't hit the left-handed layup, but it's put right back through by Muncie. 9-point lead, the largest today for BBM Tax Service. Plummer airballs the midi. Scooped up by Peace. Morris going up for it. Not there. Peace again. Got it this time.
Prudential on the back foot, but still fighting and clawing possession after possession, seeking momentum heading into halftime.
Ford knocks down the open J. 47-37 the lead for BBM Tax Service. It's Jason Peace looking to isolate against Ford. Peace now hands it off to Plummer. Plummer can't get around Aaron Harris, tries to shoot over him and hits it. Harris couldn't have defended much better there, Andrew, but a better shot, better offense by Larry Plummer.
I'm very excited to see Larry Plummer offensively really put his mark on this game if he can and get Prudential back into it without Zach Owens.
And I think this is an important 2.5 minutes. The original call was that it went over to Prudential. I don't have the best angle on it, but I did think that was BBM Tax Service ball, and the call will be changed.
Much to the chagrin of Jason Peace, he will now defend the inbounds, disgruntled.
For the trigger man, he'll get it in. Here's Tony Perkins now, setting up the offense. Only 5 to work with after that out-of-bounds play, and he draws the foul. Perkins says that's easy time and time again. He has talked a great deal in this first half, along with backing it up with his play.
Yeah, I was about to say, it definitely has reason to. Be exciting to see the stat sheet at halftime with under 2 minutes left to play in the first half. 47-39, the lead for BBM Tax Service. And Tony Perkins continues to fuel this team's run to sort of really prove themselves in the win column. They're 0-2 with a couple tough, close losses. Combined 13 points those losses have been by. But this is absolutely a team that can compete and a team that can compete for a City League championship despite those 2 early losses of looking to prove it against the defending champions.
Perkins looking to go 3 of 3, and he does just that. 11-point lead for BBM Tax Service. A minute to go now in the first half. Swinging it around, it's Peters going up and under. Wild shot misses. Strong rebound by Jaden Ford, but then he's going to get tied up. It'll be a jump ball between Ford and Jason Peace.
And credit to Jason Peace for really getting after it, possession after possession. He came off the bench to start the game, but he's a guy that's really putting blood, sweat, and tears into this effort for Prudential. And we are getting closer to the end of the first half with this jump ball on the way.
Yeah, time is wasted here as we're now under 30 seconds to play. And BBM Tax Service wins the jump ball. As Perkins' awkward shot still drops. 13-point lead for BBM Tax Service. 15 seconds to play now. Jamel Boyd, nice feed into Jason Peace, but he dropped it. It'll be out of bounds. They've got 5 seconds to work with. Got to get it in quickly. They do. Larry Plummer over to Boyd. He fumbles it around. And that is going to be a 60-footer made by Cortland Hayes. And he got that off in time. So he extends the BBM Tax Service lead to 16.
What a night at Bonner Fitness and Learning Center for the City League. Every single time at the end of any quarter or half, all eyes go to the bucket for that final shot, and almost 100% of the time, it ends with disappointment, maybe brief excitement that it hit the rim or backboard. That time, Cortland Hayes sinks it, and it's 55-39 for BBM Tax Service.
So huge run at the end of the half for BBM Tax Service, and they lead 55-39 here at the intermission, as the defending champs Prudential has their 9-game winning streak in jeopardy going into the second half. We'll be back in a few here on TCL Live. We welcome you back here at the Bonner Center on the campus of Arsenal Tech High School for the second half of our final game of the day between BBM Tax Service and Prudential. It's a 16-point, 55-39 lead for BBM Tax Service. Zion Brown, Andrew Garrison here with you. And it was a crazy offensive explosion we saw there from BBM, Andrew.
Yeah, Tony Perkins, 26 first half points. Cortland Hayes, an opposite volleyball line, 2/3 court shot at the buzzer to put this team up 16. BBM Tax Service is 0-2, but they're proving exactly what we said pregame, which is that they are absolutely a team that can compete, absolutely a team that can compete for a championship, and they're doing so by leading the defending champions in Prudential by 16.
BBM has the ball, to begin this second half with Harris. Aaron Harris gets it to Tony Perkins. Perkins inside, left hand, off glass is good.
And there's 28 for Tony Perkins. Just an incredible showing already.
Here's Larry Plummer trying to drive on the other end, rejected by Jaden Ford.
Whistle on the floor. Some confusion.
Nevertheless, the inbound is into Plummer. He'll shoot the corner three and hit it. Two, rather, is footed on the line.
We've seen Tony Perkins get into some fantastic one-on-one duels with opposing leading scorers, and I'd love to see Larry Plummer really put him to the test in this game. Down 15 now, but still plenty of time to get back into it ahead of the Elam ending.
It's been Plummer and Jason Peace for this Prudential team who have been able to create their own shot the best, right, without Zach Owens. And offense has not been the problem for the Prudential team. It's been stopping this BBM Tax Service team, specifically the guy at the line right now, Aaron Harris, and, of course, Tony Perkins. As Harris hits both free throws, it's a 17-point lead.
And it's all three levels of the floor. I mean, Tony Perkins can hit the three. Aaron Harris can hit the three. Aaron Harris is great in the mid-range. Tony Perkins, of course, between the blocks. Larry Prummel, though, a strong countering force.
Plummer hits the mid-range J. Perkins responds with one of his own.
And Prudential is going to be hard-pressed to find a scoring run to match what Tony Perkins did in the first half.
Jamel Boyd pivoting, puts up the runner off glass, too strong. Here comes Perkins and BBM. Perkins gets doubled out on the perimeter and pulls it back out here against Jason Peace. Perkins fires over Peace and hits.
He's just fantastic. And what we saw from Kobe Webster in a loss for Pinchick Consulting is almost being outpaced by what Tony Perkins is doing tonight as well.
Plummer trying to match Perkins bucket for bucket, missed that time, but Peace rebounded and scooped it back up and in. So now here comes Perkins with a head of steam going straight into Jason Peace, and it's called a block on Peace.
Yeah, I could see the wheels turning for Jason Peace as he turned to initiate contact with Perkins, and it didn't seem like with the full head of steam Perkins had rumbling down the lane that Peace was going to be able to set his feet. He, of course, did not. BBM Tax Service retains possession.
That three-point attempt short for Muncie. Now Jamel Boyd has it on the other, and he gets into the lane. Boyd, his shot, rolls off front iron. Now Perkins, again trapped, but still finding space, and no one was able to pick him up straight to the rim for two.
There's a second dunk tonight for Tony Perkins, and a justified timeout for Prudential as Perkins crosses 30 points with 16:20 still left to go.
20-point advantage for BBM Tax Service as Tony Perkins now has 35 of those 66 BBM points, and it has just been time and time, possession after possession for Tony Perkins. No one has been able to stop him.
Well, you know, Zion, you have a tendency, it seems, tonight to not believe in these City League players, because off the air at halftime, I just floated the thought, over-under Tony Perkins 49.5. You said under. Zach Browning next to me said over. And I, of course, said over just for the thrill. And that, of course, was a tried-and-true strategy in the last game as Hoop Us put together that 7-point run. We're watching a 50-point performance from Tony Perkins. He shows no signs of slowing down, but notably, Zion, as you mentioned in the first half, only 5 players in attendance here for BBM Tax Service. The wear and tear will set in. Prudential will have a chance moving forward.
As Plummer gets fouled up top. Illegal screen, set by Prudential, so it'll be a turnover back over to BBM Tax Service. So things going from bad to worse for this Prudential squad, who is just not used to being in a position like this. As Tony Perkins gets into the front court. Over to Aaron Harris. Harris trying to wiggle his way around Plummer. Plummer defended him well. As they kick it out to Cortland Hayes, back to Tony Perkins. Takes the bump but can't hit the shot. Piece down on the other end. Plummer splits 2. Plummer splits more defenders and finishes with the left. He's been impressive.
He has, and I don't want that to go, sort of slipped under the rug, noting what Tony Perkins has been doing. But Larry Plummer, in the absence of Zach Owens, has been fantastic in his own right for Prudential.
Plummer does come back on the other end and hacks Aaron Harris. So Harris will be back to the charity stripe.
This BBM Tax Service team, really one of the most fun groups, as you've, of course, seen in the way of Tony Perkins here in this game. But this is largely a group of Lawrence North alumni over the last few years, teams that have gone to state championship, won state championships. Some of these guys have played together, some of them have not. But it's really been great to see that sense of the community where high school alumni coming back together to show up and show out in the City League. And that's what makes this BBM Tax Service team, to me, so compelling to watch as a group.
Of course, so many of these guys played under the legend Jack Kiefer at Lawrence North. Now, as adults, suiting up again together. Here they come down the other direction, and it's Brandon Muncie finishing at the rim. 22-point lead now for BBM. Plummer finds Peace. Kicking it out, it's Wade Peters short on the 3. Hayes now taking it, Euro stepping and hitting. That's Muncie again. So Brandon Muncie putting his imprint on this game. It's a 3-ball miss. Peace gets the O board and puts it right back up and in.
And on the flip side for Prudential, this is just a scrappy group of guys that love the game of basketball together, as Pace is fouled after stealing away the ball in the backcourt. But Prudential, not a lot of D1 talent, right? None of these guys, most of these guys rather, don't play professionally overseas. This is just a group of local, adults that love basketball that are here to win championships, apparently, as we saw last season. And now again, coming together. Jason Peace, a great example. Clearly somebody that just loves the game and is willing to put so much of himself on the line for it. Really a battle between two of the teams that I find the most wholesome and compelling and really representative of what the City League is all about coming together today.
As we've said, Prudential has won its last 9 games dating back to last year in the regular season. Of course, like you said, winning the tournament a season ago and then starting this year off at 2-0. Aaron Harris brings it ahead for BBM. As his pass is intercepted by Jason Peace up ahead to Plummer. Plummer one-on-one with Harris, misses it, scoots back up by Jamel Boyd, and Harris could do nothing but foul Boyd.
So a 20-point lead still. We're about 8.5 minutes away from the target score being put on the board. So Prudential certainly is going to have to chip away at this deficit if they're going to have a chance in this one down the stretch. And that really just goes to show how here in the City League, it's one scoring run, it's one individual takeover, and the 20 minutes running clock goes by real quick when you're playing a game of basketball. And those, 30-plus, nearly 40-plus points from Tony Perkins is enough to lift BBM Tax Service well over the head of Prudential.
Boyd buries both free throws, is back down to an 18-point margin. Here comes Tony Perkins. He takes a deep shot. Off target that time, and Peace pulls it away for Prudential. Up ahead to Willie Morris. Morris going down the lane. Had that ball deflected on the way up. Fighting for it is Jamel Boyd, and he is met at the summit. That time by Hayes, and then on the other end, coming back is Muncie, and he, after a few attempts, is able to put it through. .20 lead for BBM. Plummer, deep floater, and took some contact, so he'll head to the free throw line.
Well, I just want to take a quick moment to shout out Aaron Harris, because obviously Tony Perkins has been the face of this game and the face of this team throughout the season, but Aaron Harris averaging 14 points a game, averaging a block a game, played D1 basketball at West Virginia and Michigan State. He's an incredible defender and really a great second backcourt scorer and a second scorer across the board and producer for this BBM Tax Service team. If Aaron Harris isn't here, it would be a whole lot easier to put a stronger focus defensively on Tony Perkins, but BBM Tax Service just has multiple ways to beat you. Tony Perkins, of course, has been an unstoppable force and an immovable object, but Aaron Harris has been incredible, elusive at getting to the rim, at pulling up from the mid-range, and BBM Tax Service has a 20-point lead primarily due to both of their efforts.
I was trying to wipe up some sweat that's on the court after that fall that Plummer took. Not sure they were able to fully locate a towel to do so, so there's a lot of sneakers doing the job there. Plummer, in the meantime, hits the first free throw.
$10 minutes, 40 seconds to go in this one. 6:37 now away from the Elam ending.
Here comes Perkins into the front court, almost lost the handle. Still gets to the rack and hits off glass. A strong take by Tony Perkins.
Just an unbelievable and truly unstoppable effort from Tony Perkins. And it's impressive because, again, he's had no rest in this game. It's not like he takes 4 minutes to, take time on the bench, take a couple sips of water, take a breath, come back in and do incredible things. It's just incredible performances from Tony Perkins, possession after possession, and at this point, night after night, week after week here in the City League, and knocks down the free throw as well.
And he completes the three-point play. Here's Willie Morris over to Tyree Johnson. Johnson blew a tire, and Morris is able to scoop it back up. Ball is still kind of loose. Plummer has it now. 8 on the shot clock. Nice pass by Jamel Boyd, finding Jason Peace for the lay-in.
And I've loved watching what Jason Peace has done inside the painted area so far in this game. Both sides of the ball, so much hustle, so much tenacity.
Harris knocks down the open three.
At this point, BBM Tax Service might be destined to hit 110 in this game.
Peace on the attack. They swing it back around. Plummer got it.
Plummer with a flashy celebration after that shot. He's looking to work his way back into the scoreboard, and down 19 is Prudential.
Now we see a zone from Prudential. Here's Cortland Hayes. 2 to shoot. Did they realize it? Ford, he did not. And it ends up being a shot clock violation, so the zone on the first possession works out well for Prudential.
You mentioned how BBM Tax Service might have to resort to that defensively to conserve some energy, but Prudential resorting to that strategy.
Foul called up top on Tony Perkins. So we'll see if Prudential stays in that zone, if it continues to work out for them in these ensuing defensive possessions. Peace can't hit the three, and here comes BBM Tax Service. Perkins at the foul line, throws one up. Reckless pass that time. And Muncie could not catch up to it. Here's Plummer in the front court. Over to Peace. Nice patience to get to the other side of the hoop and finish.
See Hayes take a tumble there after the defensive lapse. 7.5 minutes left to go now.
Harris to Muncie. Muncie at the foul line will take the jump shot off the mark and rebounded by Willie Morris. Morris up ahead. Plummer to Boyd. Boyd had it blocked, got it back, blocked again. And Hayes eventually secures it for BBM Tax Service. Hayes up ahead to Jaden Ford, and he'll head to the line for two.
Well, on the other end just now, it looks like Tony Perkins was looking for a rebound off the glass slam dunk. He couldn't quite take control of it while in the air, but almost yet another highlight reel play from Tony Perkins. 80-63 after the whistle on the floor with the Elam ending pending.
So with 6:52 left on the clock, it is still a 17-point lead for this BBM Tax Service team. And 2 free throws upcoming as well for Jaden Ford.
It'll be interesting to see how both of these teams continue to play throughout the rest of the season. They each will have one more game in the regular season. BBM Tax Service is going to take on Mambo's Cheesesteak Grill next Wednesday in what will inevitably be yet another thriller between two titans of the men's league. And Prudential on the other side will have an exciting matchup of their own next Thursday as they take on NBA Math Hoops, who were trying to sort of figure out how strong they could be and how much of a contender they are in a championship run.
18-point lead for BBM Tax Service. Make it 19 as Ford hits the second. Morris has it for Prudential, going up with the left hand. What a finish. As Ford was right in his grill, ready to block that shot, but he just got it off and found the square on the glass. Perkins in the middle of that zone, steps back for the jumper, left it short. Here comes Morris for Prudential. Morris lost the handle, ball still loose, and deflected out of bounds by Ford.
All gas, no brakes still for BBM Tax Service. Certainly let up a little bit as they take a large lead, but here's Cortland Hayes in transition.
The alley-oop to Tony Perkins. Hayes to Harris to Perkins.
And that's a third dunk for Perkins on the night.
He's got 40, and he's got himself another steal as well. Here he comes in transition over to Aaron Harris. Book it.
Pushing 90 is BBM Tax Service off the backs of Tony Perkins, Eron Harris, Cortland Hayes, and the rest of this five in attendance here tonight.
That shot blocked again, and here's Jaden Ford ahead of the pack, and he gets fouled from behind by Tyree Johnson. Ford didn't appreciate the foul. I think that was fairly in control given the circumstances from Johnson.
Absolutely, and in a 22-point game, certainly can understand some frustration as the leading team when on the receiving end of some fierce physicality, but Prudential, of course, still fighting and clawing to get back into this one, although it's looking more and more like a cause without hope as we are under a minute away from the Elam ending being put into effect.
Ford unable to hit either free throw. Here comes Plummer for Prudential. They trail by 22. Plummer crossing over Harris, unable to hit. Here's Tony Perkins. Perkins over to Jaden Ford. Can't redeem himself from those missed free throws. And Johnson comes away with it. Now Jason Peace thought about pulling up for three. Over now to Morris. Again hitting with the left.
Back to a 20-point deficit for Prudential.
as Perkins finishes through contact yet again. And he'll have a chance for another three-point play.
And that will set up what will more than likely be a target score of 98 being put on the board. I was certainly remiss when suggesting that BBM Tax Service was destined for 110 in this game, but nonetheless, following the free throws, we will see
Perkins makes the free throw to get it to 90 points, and the target score here will be 99. Willie Morris with the basketball. Morris driving, pivoting, stepping back, and fading, and he hits.
Willie Morris, really a great hustle role player for Prudential, especially coming off the bench.
Aaron Harris threw it to nobody. And Tyree Johnson comes away with it. Plummer steps into a three. No. Peace right up. Can't get it to fall. Boyd can't either. And finally, Jason Peace is able to lay it home. Our scoreboard has frozen here as here comes Jaden Ford. Lost the handle on it. And they end up finding Aaron Harris. It's 92-69 our score.
Target score of 99, so 7 points away is BBM Tax Service.
As that ball is stripped, coming away with it is Jaden Ford, and he hits through contact.
Great physicality, great hustle, great tenacity, all across the 5 players on the floor for BBM Tax Service. They're going to have played a full 40 minutes in this game altogether, as we again see some scoreboard troubles, but
94-71 is our official score. We've got some issues here with the scoreboard at the Bonner Center. Our guy Austin Taylor trying to figure it out.
Larry Plummer shaking his head as every player on the floor a bit disgruntled by the stoppage, but our wonderful founder of the City League, Austin Taylor, of course, executing under pressure.
Yeah, I think the scoreboard had froze on him, and then you're sitting there trying to figure it out. He probably wasn't paying attention to every exact score. Free throw missed by Ford. They're 5 points away from winning this game, BBM Tax Service. Plummer scoops it over to Boyd, who puts it up and in. Perkins up ahead, wide open, and lay in for Brandon Muncie.
A triple away now is BBM Tax Service from taking their first victory of the season.
Willie Morris with the ball. Gets it over to Jamel Boyd for the corner tray. He can't hit. And they get it up ahead. Nice pass all the way to Muncie. The feed from Cortland Hayes up to Brandon Muncie. And now they're just a point away. Morris off the mark. Peace tracks it down, and he'll head to the line.
Deserved free throws from Jason Peace. He has been incredible all game long. He's really struggled through the first 2 games of the season, just 3.5 points per game, 16% from the field. But tonight, really, Jason Peace has shown what he is capable of, and Prudential will hope to enjoy the benefits of his efforts throughout the rest of the season in their game against NBA Math Hoops next Thursday.
All right, Andrew, do you want to predict a 24-0 run here or no?
I might have to pass on this one. I'm interested to see how many Tony Perkins ends up having, and if it hits over 49.
I believe I'm right. I believe he's at like 45 right now.
Oh, man.
43 even. So there we go. I won the bet. See, you celebrated too early.
Possibly.
Plummer hits the 2.
Yeah, it's disappointing because there really is no chance.
Perkins throws it up. It was almost caught and put back in off the glass by Muncie accidentally, but he couldn't get it to drop, and now Peace comes around and hits the 3 on the other end. It's an 18-point game.
19 points away is Prudential.
Harris drives inside, He can't put it away, but it is finally ended by Brandon Muncie on the putback. A smooth 100 points for BBM Tax Service gets them the first win of their season. They're up to 1-2. Prudential has their 9-game winning streak ended, and they're now 2-1. Clearly, though, with the caveat of missing Zach Owens.
Absolutely, and certainly a shorthanded team was Prudential in this game. We'll see how they fare against NBA Math Hoops next week as both teams gear up for the tournament. BBM Tax Service against Mablo's Cheesesteak Grill is becoming a game I am incredibly excited to watch. Tony Perkins versus Darius Adams next Wednesday is going to be absolutely electric. Tony Perkins takes over once again, this time following through with a victory, and a wonderful, wonderful night of City League basketball will finally come to a close.
So BBM Tax Service gets in the win column. They're now 1-2. Prudential is 2-1. Always a pleasure, Andrew. For Andrew Garrison, I'm Zion Brown. Thanks to our guy, Zach Browning, for producing and running the camera tonight. We'll be back TCL Live tomorrow at 5 o'clock.